Happy podcast day, Falcon.
Happy podcast day to you too, and no Twitch. I will not be buying TwitchCon tickets, despite your pop-up.
You're not going to go to Rotterdam and go to TwitchCon?
Nope.
No, me neither. I don't particularly feel like traveling for TwitchCon. Maybe if it was like down the road from where I live.
Right. If it was a 5-minute walk, then maybe.
Yeah. That's more my speed for TwitchCon. Oh. Whoa.
There we go. I don't know, lost my microphone for a minute. We're back now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Super. Anywho, so Omicron's been slowly turning into American over the last couple days, which I approve of.
I wouldn't say I'm slowly turning into American. I've just found myself at several American based places.
Yes, through your own free will and choice, even.
Yeah, I guess I can't technically refute that. But I went for a bike ride the other day, and I got like 10 minutes into it, and my housemate called me going like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm out on a bike ride." And he's like, "Oh, sweet, wait for me. I'll come with." And then he gets here, and he's like, "All right, so let's go to Taco Bell." So I guess it was my choice.
Yeah, it was. You could have said, "No, we are doing healthy things, not American unhealthy things."
Well, when I got there, I had water and a quesadilla, and he had like a ton of stuff. I just chose to try and be healthy by limiting my intake. That's all.
Got it. Yeah, so
I was still
compromising a bit. That's good.
Yeah. He did not. He went with like churros, a chocolate quesadilla, a boss burrito, chips, unlimited soda refill.
Dude, a chocolate quesadilla? I want that.
Do you guys not have that?
No.
Oh, okay. It's just
You're using the right word there, right? Quesadilla? Chocolate quesadilla?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do they like fry the tortilla, or is it just like a tortilla?
I think it's just a tortilla.
Whoa. Yeah, send me a link.
Yeah,
you sent me a link to that boss burrito that he got too, and I was like, I don't have that either. Like, I know that McDonald's does this. They have like regional menu differences.
But lightly grilled tortilla.
Okay, so they do grill it a bit, but that's normal. And then they just like put chocolate in there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Chocolate. Oh my gosh. There's nothing chocolate at my Taco Bell. Where did they get chocolate? I'm going to the desserts tab real quick. What other crazy things do you have? Oh, cinnamon twist. We have those. Those suck. You have straight up churros? We don't have straight up churros.
You don't have churros?
Why do you hate us, local American Taco Bell? To the menu. Maybe they added churros in the like week since I've been there.
Maybe.
Let's see. Sides and sweets. We have Cinnabons. Cinnabons are pretty good.
I think we have those too.
Oh. Not on your list of desserts.
No, apparently not. Oh well.
Yeah, cinnamon twists and Cinnabons. I would trade Cinnabons for churros, I think. Maybe. Cinnabons are good. Anywho, regional differences. Hooray.
Huzzah. My next stop in my Americanness was I went to Costco for the first time in like 12 years.
Wow.
So
I don't think I've been in Costco for that long either, so fair.
Yeah, we walked around. We were like stopping in because I was just like, well, okay, I was with my brother's partner. I was helping her like move stuff out of her apartment and into a storage container, like a storage center, storage unit. Near where Costco is, where I live. And she gets fuel from there because it's cheap. Like they do petrol here. I don't know if Costco there does petrol. Is that the regional?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Okay.
They do.
And I was talking about how I want to get a sous vide machine, like it's not sous vide. Yeah. So she was like, "Oh, Costco has them. Let's just stop in while we get fuel." I'm like, "Okay, sweet." Walked around, didn't have it. Just couldn't find it. Didn't have it. I did, however, buy a tomahawk steak for like $30.
An entire tomahawk steak. $30. That's okay. That's pretty cool.
It's not bad. And then on the way out, we grabbed. Oh, I also bought like a giant bag of beef jerky because
nice.
It was like $500. Not $500. It was $5 for 3 times what I would pay for a at my work.
Yep.
Right. So just
Bulk.
buying bulk. It's great.
Bulk purchasing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man,
And
if you'd gotten a sous vide, you could have sous vide'd your tomahawk steak.
that was the plan.
Ah. So here's the problem with Costco is it's not an everything store. Like, that's why I don't go there. Is because like you go there and it's like, what is available at the moment? And it's like, oh, I'll get this. And I don't like doing that. I like knowing what I'm buying. So I don't do the Costco experience.
It felt like there was just about everything there. Like I would have to go again multiple times to be like, okay, so this was here because they just had inventory and not because this is where this always is. But
Mhm.
it felt like a big enough place that like, okay, there's the freezer section. The freezer section's probably similar week to week, you know?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there are definitely things that are there all the time. But
Mm.
yeah.
What I was told is that the American Costco has like free samples on every aisle.
Mm-hmm.
Not the case here. There was
Oh.
like 2 that I saw. One I didn't see what he was offering. The other one was a lady giving out like pomegranate juice, and I'm like, okay, I know I
Yeah.
don't like that, so I'm not
Oh,
gonna touch it.
bummer. Bummer. Okay, so they had free samples, just not as many.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
fair.
well.
Yeah, they got rid of them during COVID, but they came back a couple of years ago. So,
Okay, that's nice.
yep, yep.
Then we stopped in at the food. Like they have pizza. It was way too good for the price that it was. Like I was like, $3.99 for a slice, and it's a big slice. But how good can that pizza be coming out of a Costco? It was good. It was
Yeah.
surprisingly good. It was the better than the pizza that I can order like from around where I live. You know,
It's because it's American
maybe,
instead of Australian pizza. I'm
maybe.
gonna be writing this for a while.
So I had to get a another slice as we walked out and ate that in the
Yeah.
car. It was good. I was telling
Yeah.
my friend, a mate of mine that came over yesterday. We went bike riding afterwards, so I could like burn off the 2 giant slices of pizza. But he was homeless for a while, and a friend of his bought him a Costco hot dog and was like, "Here, have some food." He said the hot dog was so terrible. He could, like, as a homeless man who didn't have a job, threw it away.
Wow.
So,
Oh, that's weird. I like Costco hot dogs. They're good too.
okay.
You
He
should give
said
it a shot. Although you've been turned off by this story, I imagine.
just a little bit. He said the bread was okay, but he threw the dog away.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I mean that's like as bad a review as anything can get. Homeless man
Mm-hmm. Homeless man turns down food. Yeah.
turns down food. Wow. All right. Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the food at Costco is a loss leader.
Probably.
Like that's why it's so cheap, just to get people in the door, and then they'll buy like $300 worth of other stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Was the hot dog $1.50 there?
I want to
I'm
say it was
curious,
a buck
actually.
99, probably.
Okay. Because there's this whole thing about how it's a 150 combo deal, a hot dog and a soda that was
Right.
introduced in 1984.
Okay.
And then there's been all this pressure from inside the company to raise it with inflation and stuff. But the owner of Costco was like, "You will raise the price of this hot dog combo over my dead body." Like it's his like pet thing for the entirety of the store. So,
Yeah. Oh no.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Apparently, it's a buck 99 for a hot dog and a soda with
okay.
refills.
So I guess maybe they account for cost of manufacturing and living in different countries.
I guess.
Maybe he
Yeah.
doesn't care about overseas Costco's.
Maybe.
Here it is. Oh, this is good. Oh man, these quotes are amazing. So Seattle Times interviewed the co-founder and CEO and said, "If the price of the hot dog ever goes up, what will it mean?" And he responded, "That I'm dead."
That's
And
brilliant.
then the current CEO of Costco said he approached this dude about raising the price of the hot dog combo, saying, "Jim, we can't sell this hot dog for $1.50. We're losing our rear ends." And according to the CEO, Senegal replied, "If you raise the effing hot dog price, I will kill you. Figure it out."
Wow. So I did have this conversation with my brother's partner, Natalie, while we were in the food court. She was saying that like the CEO basically understands that the kind of people who come in there needing a $1.50 hot dog need a $1.50 hot dog, right? And like he's very passionate about keeping the price of food cheap for some people. He really did.
For one thing. It's not like he's keeping the price of all the other food cheap.
Well, I mean, a pizza slice is $2.99, right? And I say slice. This thing was like a quarter of a pizza.
Right.
That's pretty cheap.
So yeah, definitely. Especially in Australia for Australian prices of things.
Mm-hmm. A pizza can be like $24.
Oh my god!
For like a medium pizza.
What is on that thing? Caviar? Gold flakes?
Nope, just
$24 pizza. I would never get pizza if it was $24.
Just like a Supreme pizza, man.
Yeah.
Supreme the brand, not
everything's more expensive in your country though. Video games are like $150.
That's true. That is sadly very true.
Mm-hmm. Anywho, and then you told me about your adventures with American Costco and Taco Bell, and then I was like, next up, Starbucks, and you're like, there's one across the street.
And we did not go.
Oh, we could have completed the trifecta. Well, maybe Macca's would have been a better completion of the trifecta.
I had Macca's for breakfast that morning.
Oh, well, there you go. We got the trifecta. We did it. But it was very greedy to try to go for 4 things in one day, I think. We were overstepping our bounds at that point. If you'd gone to Starbucks, you would have like started waving American flags and shooting off fireworks and like purchasing a firearm and all sorts of stuff. Who knows how far that would have gone.
It would have been bad.
Dangerous.
England can't afford to lose another colony.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. I'm glad you had a good experience with the Costco and the Taco Bell. Not bad. Not bad.
It had a very American weekend for me.
Absolutely. Oof. All right. Well, should we talk about our book of the week?
Yeah. Mechanicum by Graham McNeill.
Mechanicum, Graham McNeill. What I really like about reading these Horus Heresy books is the afterwards always talk about how fun it is for these authors to write about something that's kind of been referenced but never really fleshed out in the Warhammer universe. And I'm like, I came from nowhere with this thing. I didn't know anything about Mars. So for me, it's just like, you're telling a story. Hooray. And for Warhammer 40k fans, it's like, ooh, context and depth about this thing that I've known about for 20 years.
Right.
It's just a different experience for me. It makes me laugh every time.
It's great. That's something I miss out on the audiobooks is there's no
afterword?
No afterword. So I miss all that.
Yeah. Graham McNeill writes this nice afterword and he's just like, yeah, I mean, so much about Mars and the forges and all this stuff is unknown and they're always portrayed as villains. And I was like, well, they can't all be bad. Like, let's try to get some sympathetic perspectives from some of this Mechanicum and some of these people and let's flesh it out. And I was like, yeah, good choice, dude.
Okay. So who's the sympathetic voice in Mechanicum?
I mean, he references specifically the Adept. Is that Zeth?
Coriel Zeth?
Forge
Mistress? Or
yeah. Is she not an Adept?
No. Do you mean the person who was working on Terra at the start who gets kidnapped? No. Okay.
No. He referenced Coriel Zeth. Correct.
Yeah, Forge Mistress. Yeah.
Yes, sorry, Forge Mistress. Indeed.
She's kind of a sympathetic voice. She's very clearly okay with like burning out psychers to achieve her machine's completion.
Sure, but that's a baseline of like every good character in any one of these books. They're all willing to just like, human life isn't worth a whole lot to really anybody in the Warhammer universe, right?
Not even a little bit, no.
Okay, so yeah.
Okay. Well,
I mean,
but even then, she's clearly a heretic, though. She doesn't actually believe in the machine god.
Correct.
From the context of Mars, that's a bad guy.
Right, but that's not a moral failing. Especially not from the reader's perspective. Nobody's going to be like, burn her. She doesn't believe in the machine god.
What about the AdMech players who do?
Okay, those people are like, down with Zeth.
I was glad when she blew up her forge.
She deserved to get shot in the chest. They're cheering. Yeah. She doesn't believe in the machine god. Down with the heretic.
Well, that's why she died, because she didn't believe hard enough or at all.
It is. That is why she died. Like, what? Okay, fine. Like, see,
Don't
this
get
is
me
why
wrong.
the Emperor is trying to stamp out belief systems, man.
Here's the thing. I
Yeah.
really like Coriel Zeth because she's someone who clearly has a more scientific approach to information and knowledge. Who is like, hey, let's build new things, and the Emperor is like, hey, we should be scientists, and he's had to like bargain with the Mechanicum to be like, look, just don't research AI, and I'll let you guys worship light switches. Go for it, you know.
Also, you're arming all of my Astartes out across the entire galaxy, so keep that going.
Right. He also needs them for that reason.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, pretty good. And I mean, obviously Dahlia was an incredibly empathetic character. Like she's the one person in the Warhammer universe who is like, every soul is precious. This dude that I met 5 minutes ago, I don't want him to die.
Well,
He really
yeah.
stands out. She really stands out from everybody else in the entire universe.
She does. She's almost like naive, though. Like she almost doesn't understand the world she lives in, right? Where
No, but that's because she's a freaking genius. Freaking geniuses never really quite understand the world that they live in.
True.
Like in Oppenheimer, he builds a nuclear bomb and then later he's like, what have I done? It's like, okay, dude. Like, come on.
Well, I mean, it's one
Genius.
thing to conceptualize the results of a machine you build, and another to see
Yeah.
images of it. You know.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. I think the same thing is going on with Dahlia.
Dahlia.
She's all in the muck and the guts of what she's building for Zeth and has no real concept of what's going to happen here, right?
Right. I mean, here's the thing, though, with Dahlia, though, she gets not told everything about the machine. She's given plans to build it, told to build this, like, neural interface thing to make people use the rest, like, the 90% of their brain they don't use or whatever.
Like Elon Musk.
Sure, yeah. I was thinking more like Limitless in the pill, you know?
Also good, yeah.
Yeah. But then they're like, oh, okay, now we're going to put it together and we're going to use it to read the Akashic records. Also, we're going to use the Astronomicon as a power source. We didn't tell you that, so there's no way in the world your machine is planned for it.
Right.
I feel bad for her, but, like, I don't know, Coriel Zeth should have told him more, but didn't, because she's Mechanicus, and, like, knowledge is power.
Because she's Mechanicus, and she doesn't see Dahlia as someone who needs to know more. Right? She's like, she's a tool. She's a genius little tool. She's a drug-sniffing dog. Like, she's really talented at this one thing that I can't do. We're going to use her to the best of her abilities, and she doesn't need to have any context of what she's doing.
Right.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, all the friendships that Dahlia develops with Zoosh and Caxton and Servine and what was the older? Melisson
Oster.
Yeah. That was nice.
Yeah,
like,
no.
They're all kind of threatened by each other at first, and then they're friends. And
yeah, there's a lot of really interesting dynamics there, especially with, I can't remember which guy it is, but he's from the Indonesian bloc or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And he's got the problems with, like, oh, what do you mean you guys find wives for love? We don't do that. That would produce inferior offspring. And, like, it's very, like, irrelevant to everything else that's going on. But it's a nice little detail just to be like, oh, remember all that shit that, like, this unification wars back on Earth? That's still history, and people are still, like, reeling from the effects 200 years after the Emperor conquered it, you know?
Right. And remember a lot of the ways it was before, too. Yeah. Yeah, it was cool stuff. Yeah, and then Dahlia's quest to find the dragon buried beneath the surface of Mars. Still don't quite understand.
So, it is a choice to be like, hey, we're writing the Horus Heresy. It's this fictional mythological event that we've only kind of, like, hinted at before. And McNeill goes, great, I'll tackle Mars and the Tech Priests, and in it, I'll lay down a mystery, mythical time from way long ago that we're only just gonna hint at and not reveal anything.
Right.
Uh, that's a choice. Um,
Uh-huh.
I don't mind it, but I'm just gonna tell you now, I don't think that's still paid off yet, right? Like
Fantastic. Awesome.
Dahlia is still just like hanging out underneath the Noctis Labyrintha.
Yep. In a
Uh,
cave
yeah, just been
with
there for
Romu
10,000.
31.
Yep, been there. I don't know that that storyline goes anywhere yet.
Does she exist in 40K?
No,
Oh, I assumed that. Okay. I
not
assumed
that
she
I'm
was
aware of.
somebody in 40K and that like readers would be like, "Oh, it's Dahlia. Holy crap." Nope. New character. Got it.
Right.
From whole cloth. Well, and so just the whole thing where she's talking with the previous guardian,
Mm-hmm.
Semyon,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "The Emperor put the dragon here on Mars to inspire the Mechanicum to create the weapons of war that he needed to conquer the galaxy."
That is, I think, Semyon's belief.
Okay.
So he definitely shows the story, and he says that like the visions in the book are the dragon itself, like telling history, like, and it's not exactly a reliable narrator here because he says
Right.
it's changed its like opinion and tweaked things, but the Emperor defeats the Void Dragon back on Earth, um, in like the late 800s or something like that.
Well, that's, I mean, that's the vision that Dahlia sees. It's like the
Right.
year 1200. Yeah.
Yeah. The Emperor takes the dragon to Mars somehow, um,
Right.
assuming psychic
Yeah.
bullshit, but and then imprisons it for 40,000 years, well, 30,000 years.
Right.
Simon says that like he did that to seed the Mechanicum. Like he needs the
Right.
Mechanicum as it is.
Right.
But
And that this was the way to do it.
yeah,
Have this dragon underground in a cave, like whispering things psychically to people who live on Mars, and then they make guns. Right?
yeah. I mean, it's a dubious story. I think.
Yeah.
I think that is just what this guy, after having watched the dragon for so long, just believes that. Like
Hmm.
that, like, oh,
Fair.
the Emperor must have a plan because he's a god. He's the Omnisire. He can't be
Right.
wrong. He must have done this for a purpose.
For a purpose. And the only purpose I can think of is
To
this.
seed the Mechanicum.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And then he's like, and it's you now. And Dahlia's like, crap. Did not expect this. Do not want.
No.
Oh, well. She is.
She is.
Congratulations.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Because
Yeah, I did.
like, it's just hard because it doesn't go anywhere as far as we know. Like the Guardians of the Dragon, or like the cult sect that he's in, like gets referenced in other places and in other Gray McNeill novels about the Mechanicus.
Okay.
So they're clearly like doing stuff.
Yep.
But as far as I'm aware, like the secret of the Void Dragon isn't known to anyone yet. I can tell you more about the dragon if you want context for it, because like I have more information that it doesn't have.
From what? Like, where'd you get it?
Other books, from codexes. From
Okay.
lore videos.
Go ahead. Sure.
You remember the Necron book we read?
Yes, that was great.
And like, oh no, it's a Satan shard, the Deceiver.
Mm-hmm.
The Void Dragon is another Satan shard.
Oh, okay.
So it's a Necron god that the Emperor just kind of put on Mars.
Imprisoned upon Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Just chilling.
Yep. Totally chilling. And then the rest of the book is just basically the Horus Heresy has reached Mars. It's like, join Horus or join with your Emperor, and oh no, people chose different sides. Now we have to fight.
That's kind of it. But like, before they start fighting, they're like, "Oh, the Emperor just sees us as like a man of like as like factory workers, arm all of his soldiers or else," kind of.
Yeah.
But there's like a real I don't know, like the feeling that the traders have that the Emperor is just using them isn't coming out of nowhere. And they like Gray McNeill
Yeah.
really subtly layers that in there where he's like, when the fighting does break out, that the loyalists call to Terra to be like, hey, we kind of need some help. And they're like, you figure it out or we'll deploy the legions. And this is like
Yeah.
happening just before Istvan.
Mm-hmm.
So like also what timing? The like Horus just gave like the scrap code key to the Mechanicus and they managed to not implode immediately until like the right time. Very
Right.
convenient for Horus. But like Hera just says, look, sort it out yourselves, or we'll deploy the legions. And that just means like we'll destroy Mars, basically. They like a legion deployment destroys planets. And then even when they do, they're like, okay, look, we'll spare a company of Imperial fists. They're like, okay, sweet, we need to defend the loyals. No, we need to secure armaments for us.
Right.
You know, it's
just solidifying the belief that for the Emperor,
Emperor's
Mars is just a giant gun factory.
right, and like the Emperor is not available at the moment, so he's not himself is not making his decisions, but the people that he's instead are. And the traders kind of have a point if they weren't like hopped up on viruses, you know?
Yeah. Sure, but I mean that's what's always been nice about Warhammer is it's not a cut and dry black and white conflict for the Horus Heresy at all. Yeah, so that's nice. Then you had a lot of people in, I don't know, mech suits running around fighting each other. Yep, and Titans and killing each other. And this one dude gets almost killed, but then his pieces get put into a, what do they keep calling it? An amniotic fluid kind of coffin.
Think of it as like a Bacta tank from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Except you're a little more plugged in than I think Luke was.
He was pretty plugged in, but yeah.
Pretty plugged in, yeah. So this is a thing that happens, which is Titans, Princeps get injured like Astartes do, and like Astartes get put in dreadnoughts, and they're kept in amniotic fluid and become a living machine. This guy, what was his name? Indus Cavalario?
Cavalario.
Yeah. He's just like, no, I don't want that. I want to be a person, and I want to drive my machine like a person. And then he gets pretty fucked up, and then he's like, why did I ever resist? We should all become people living in tanks.
He's like, yeah, everyone should do this. And someone's like, some people are going to push back on that idea, dude. Calls them hardliners.
That's great. Which, yeah, I mean, that feels kind of just grimdark for not necessarily grimdark for the sake of being grimdark, but it's just like, hey, what if we were all amputees living on life supports and water tanks, you know?
Right.
Piloting god engines who stride across the surface of Mars shooting at each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shooting missiles at each other and getting stepped on by bigger Titans. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, like, I really like this book. There's a lot to like, but the plot is not very big, right? There's some intrigue between Kelbal Hal and Coriel Zeth, and he's like sending an assassin with his envoy, and the assassin kind of knows about the Noosphere, even though it's new tech, and Kelbal Hal like dismissed it, is what they've said. Like, Coriel Zeth's like, hey, I didn't get infected by the virus because I have Wi-Fi now, and Kelbo Hal's like, well, you should have shared that when you had the chance. And I'm like, well, I tried, but you didn't give a fuck. But the assassin is like, I can read the Noosphere. I can melt your assistant's brain. How are they doing that? I guess assassins get into places.
They sure do.
Not a whole lot to it, but it's fun. It's a fun and easy read if it's not anything else, and I like that. Sometimes you just need that.
Yeah, no, certainly. A lot of atmosphere, a lot of like, it sure is hot here, but without the like climate changing tools. What's the word? Climate changing devices? I don't know. You would be dead.
Oh, right, because they're like in a volcano.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, if it wasn't for all of the heat exchanges, you'd be fucked, you know?
Yep.
And
It's like,
she's
so
immediately
you're
like, what devices are you using for heat exchange? Are you using thermal layers? Are you using insulation shields, ion exchanges, all this kind of like technobabble stuff? But it was a good way to demonstrate that this lady has knowledge that she shouldn't have, or is putting pieces together when from scraps and bits and pieces.
right.
Hmm.
So is Dahlia like accessing the warp when she does
Yeah,
that?
she's
Yeah.
she's
Okay.
a psycho.
Okay.
Like a low level latent one who has a very specific psychic ability. Like
And they
that's a
all
thing
seem
that
to have
happens.
pretty specific psycho abilities, right?
Well, sure, but like most psychics can like throw a fireball if you teach them, or lightning, or smite, or whatever.
Oh, snap.
Right.
Okay. I didn't know that.
But like, or,
Grammaticus can't. Can John Grammaticus throw a fireball?
no, he's like another one with a very specific. I mean, he could if he tried.
Hmm.
Like he's still a staggeringly powerful psycho on his own right.
Yeah.
Um, but like most of his like his logo kind of ability is a passive thing. That's what she's doing. She's just passively accessing all information in the warp when she's reading schematics and stuff and filling in the
Hmm.
gap. Right?
Okay.
You know?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So this character, I mean, this person with access, like easy access to the warp, is now a guardian over this dragon thing.
She seemed to get some like power boosted when she took the reins off Simon.
She did the emperor thing of healing a machine by touching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Machine, heal thyself. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
so she seems to be like a Mechanicum saint, I guess.
Right. I mean, it very specifically is the move that the emperor did at the start of the book,
Yeah.
which, okay.
Okay, so here we have a fundamental question. Is the Emperor the Omnissiah?
Right.
Is he mechanical Jesus?
I mean, look, the heal thyself is a Jesus line from the Bible. So they're trying to make that comparison.
Not unintentionally, but don't forget that this
No.
story is being told, that part of the story is told from the night pilot whose machine was healed.
Right.
He has an invested, like, if he believes, he is an incentive to make it seem like it's more scriptural than it is, you know?
Sure, but then Dahlia uses the exact same words when she heals the Warhound later.
That's true.
Just saying.
I mean, do
Yeah,
you
I don't
think
know. Like, it's like, so the Emperor has all this power.
Mhm.
He's a telepath. He can basically control you with his mind.
Mhm.
He can see the future.
Mhm.
But for some reason, like reaching out and healing a DVD player by touching it just seems weird for that skill set, you know?
Yeah, I guess. But like, it's a thing he can do,
Mm-hmm.
apparently,
Sure.
or at least did.
Well, yeah, but
But
if the stories are to be believed, yeah.
yeah, but here's the thing: is it terribly different that he is a psycho who can heal machines versus he is the son of a god, like he is the machine god made flesh, and is
Right.
tapping into a divine power, not his psychic power? Like,
Yeah.
is that just splitting hairs?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I just found it interesting. Like, could you heal an entire like battleship with this? Like you're in the middle of a fight and you've taken hits and like all your systems are down, and then he touches a wall and goes, heal thyself, and the ship's like bing. You know what I mean? That'd be nice.
I I feel like if he was to like do that, I mean, could he do it if he like wanted to? Sure. If the writer wanted him to be able to do it, he could do it. Right.
Fine.
But like the same reason Jesus never healed anyone in the middle of a whole battalion in the middle of a battle, because it's like a get out of plot free card. You know, it just never happens. Like a tiny little miracle, you know, splitting some fish or whatever, or healing a machine,
or bringing a guy back from the dead. It's a little tiny thing Jesus did.
Yeah, well, himself or
just
someone else. Who did he bring back? I haven't read the
Lazarus.
Bible. Oh, okay.
The word Lazarus is used so much in pop culture for that reason.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard of the Lazarus experiment, the episode of Doctor Who where some guy makes
Yeah.
himself young, but
Yep.
same difference. Look, could the Emperor do it? Sure, but like I don't think a writer's gonna put it in there as like the central point of a battle where the Emperor just goes, "Ship, heal thyself," and then like in the middle of a fight, he's fine. You know?
Are there any books of like emperor stories? Just like here's the
Uh,
emperor doing stuff. He's made cameo appearances.
that is very much intentional. So there are
Yeah.
some short stories where the Emperor is a focus, but
Hmm.
they're not war stories. And there are
Ah.
some books where the Emperor is a bigger focus than a cameo that are war stories, but are not. He's still not actively running around. We need to read
Hmm.
the Thousand Suns book, and so you like 'cause you don't know where the Emperor is at the moment, do you?
He's
Like
on Terra
he's on
doing
he
science-y and magic stuff.
close, yeah. I
Yeah.
like you're 99% of the way there, but like even Dawn is talking to Malkador and like, "Where's the Emperor?" And he's like, "Still can't join us, but don't worry, what he's doing is very important."
Hmm.
Which
Trying
is
to attain godhood.
maybe. And then and we get more references to the Lost Primarchs, where Dawn's like, if only it were 15 instead of 12 or whatever." Like
Right.
he's like, don't even wish it. You swore your bonds never to talk with them, Dawn. Don't. So
Right.
more hints and references.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you need to learn about like where the Emperor is, and the way that he's in stories moving forward is still only pretty much references and cameos. But even when it's not just cameos, it's never in person
Got it.
or directly like doing actions. You know, he's not attending
Yeah.
meetings and stuff.
Yeah. So they're just intentionally keeping a lot of the hard details about the Emperor, who he is, what he can do,
Mm-hmm.
sparse.
You have to, because if you knew
Yeah.
the Emperor's plan, either it doesn't make sense, and all of like a lot of 40k kind of falls apart, because it's based on the belief that like the ecclesiarchy thinks the Emperor is a god, and if we
Yes.
outright say he's not a god, all
Then
of that
everything
just
falls
stops.
apart.
Everything
Yeah.
kind of falls apart. So they need to keep him a little bit of a mystery, and it's good to do that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I mean, it makes the character, more interesting.
yeah.
In some ways.
It's hard to write a character who can look 40,000 years in the future and start planning the long game and also explain all of that. Like if you just have to take it on trust that that's what he's doing,
Mm-hmm.
and then things that you don't understand maybe make more sense from the context of someone who can see more than you. And to have someone who can see more than you just have to not know things.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But
Just
yeah,
a
it's good.
nebulous thing. Yeah, I thought it was good.
The Carbanda machine.
Yeah.
So on the flow chart for this, there's actually a short story that you can read before this, and that is entirely about the Carbando machine, who is artificial intelligence. That
Right.
they just like
Which they killed
yes,
with rocks.
essentially yes. I mean,
Yes.
it still has a physical body, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no reason I can't break my computer with a rock. Why wouldn't I be
Right.
able to make a big computer with a rock?
And big rock. Yeah.
Yeah, so Lucas Crom, who is one of the heretical Forge Masters, just like, hey, I'm working on AI. Fuck the Emperor, you know.
Right.
I feel like you're not gonna go back and read this little short story, especially since most of it, like what happens, gets covered in Mechanicum. It's like, hey, we made the Carbanda machine, and then we made it kill its best friend. You know.
I mean, I could,
You could, okay.
but
There's not a lot to it. That's basically it. Right. I'm not.
okay.
I don't like.
Fair enough.
It's a personally good story. If at some point we get to that book, that anthology, feel free to just read them all. Like I wouldn't say skip it. It's good.
Okay.
But Lucas Crum is also like the fabricator or the forge master who made Horus's new suit of armor that he gets like partway through the Heresy.
Ooh. Okay.
And then he makes the Carbanda machine, gets it to kill its best friend, and then sets it loose more or less on Mars. That's kind of what he
He's
does.
like,
Yeah.
Go do stuff.
Yeah. It's like, hey, go kill this like forge complex and these knights, and it does, and then it like lies face down in the sand until a scavenger finds it.
And then at some point, it's told to kill Dahlia. So that's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
That was a
So
cool scene where it like blows up the train that they're on, and then Dahlia's like, "We're gonna die. Let me Wi-Fi connect to this thing and make it
right.
not be able to see us."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
That was
cool.
good. That was good. This.
And then it comes back, and she's like, and they're like, "Do it again," and she's like, "I can't. It patched its security."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh,
Close the loophole in its firewall.
yeah, yeah."
That's
The
good. Yeah.
router had an update.
So that's this one. Done, I think. Thumbs up?
Yeah, thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
They've all been good.
It's
If we
true.
run into a bad Horus Heresy book, I'll let you know, I guess.
Well, you could read The Battle for Abyss.
Is that a bad one?
It's less good. I've heard it described as an action movie set near the Horus Heresy.
The general vicinity.
Mm-hmm. It got a reference in this book. At the very beginning, there's like some tech priests talking about the Ring of Iron around Mars that made all of the ships for the Great Crusade. But the largest ship, that honor is going to Jupiter for when they finish the Furious Abyss.
Ah.
Yeah, so it's a little Easter egg for the book just before this one, I guess.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, time to find the next book.
Yeah.
Go, flowchart, go.
Where did it go?
It is always so big. I always forget how big it is.
Yeah, it's huge. I'm just gonna use the JPEG. All right.
Did you pin the JPEG?
No, but if you jump to the pin, it's underneath the link, I think.
Okay.
I can pin it if you'd like. And pinned. All right, I pinned the JPEG.
Nice.
So we can jump back to No Fear if you were able to get that book now. If you want more Ultramarines. If you want some Ultramarines. But other than that, I recommend the next book being scroll over. It's so big. 1,000 Suns. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 1,000 Suns.
A book you no doubt think is a poor title.
I sure do. I was just going to say that. I guess I could spell suns correctly.
Yes, suns as in kids, not planet. Oh, spheres.
Yep. Nice. Got it.
1,000 Suns?
Yep. Number 12 in the series.
Yes.
Graham McNeill.
Oh, more Graham McNeill. Excellent.
Yeah.
The dude likes to write.
He's good at it. I'm sure he gets
yeah.
paid pretty well for it. So, hey.
For sure.
Why not? Let's see if any of these names are familiar to me.
Looking at the names in...
Oh, Magnus is in this one.
Yeah, this one's about Magnus.
Right. You told me that last time. Lorgar is involved. Mortarian's here. Ooh, Sanguinius is here.
Yeah.
Fulgrim is here.
Now that he's not piloting a Oracle, yeah.
Or a Reaper 8 times. StarCraft fans love Sanguinius. Why?
I don't know.
Okay. They sure do. Like, no one's ever like, this is Horus. Like, all right.
Okay.
Maybe because of the heresy. I don't know.
Maybe. It's interesting because, like, I have theories, I guess. Like, Sanguinius as a Primarch is someone we've known about way before the Horus Heresy came about, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
But, like, his ultimate fate is also known. Like, Guilliman came back, so you know he doesn't die here, right?
Right.
But, like, do I tell you what happened to, like, Lehman Russ and, like, Dawn and, like, the other loyal Primarchs that you haven't heard of in 40k? Because, like, you know that they're not around, but does that mean they died in the Horus Heresy? Who knows?
Don't know. That's correct.
Don't know. So it's a fun little mystery for you, but I'm even someone who only started reading 40k books like 4 or 5 years ago, I knew what happened to these people.
Right.
So even going
Just a,
into it, yeah,
just a different perspective is all.
it is. Yeah, it is.
Yep. It's kind of fun. Well, good. Good. What else is going on that we can talk about? Oh, Dune 2 is coming out this week.
Dune 2 is coming out in 2 days' time.
It is getting crazy hyped. Like, I'm trying to avoid the hype because I don't like going into movies with high expectations.
Oh, really? Well, that makes sense.
Right?
But like,
Because
it
it's
is
not.
getting good hype.
It is. It is getting so much hype from every source that
Mm-hmm.
that I get hype from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everyone's like, it's really good. And I mean, part 1 was really good.
Was it? No, it was.
Yes,
It was very
it
good. But
was.
like, I was considering sitting down and watching it today as like
Uh-huh.
prep to go see the second one, and
Uh-huh.
I can't remember if that movie had a big plot or not. Like, I remember coming out of that movie feeling like that is a fun world. Like, that is a really visually and entertaining world. What was
Yeah.
the plot of that story? It's like, okay, the Atreides house got like command of Arrakis, and the other people were angry and attacked them, and
Mm-hmm.
then Paul made friends with some natives.
Yes.
And like,
Sand people.
was that a good plot? I don't know, but like,
Right. But it's vibes. I think I've said this before. Dune is vibes.
sure, yeah,
And if you nail the vibes of Dune, you nailed Dune. Like, I
yeah.
think the previous attempts to adapt Dune haven't nailed the vibes of Dune and therefore have been kind of failed adaptations.
Mm, I can agree with that.
Yeah. So I really think Denis just came into this being like, all right, let's get the visuals, let's get the vibes, let's get the feeling of how this is. People will walk out of it feeling like it was cool. And maybe we don't need a ton of plot detail and amazing dialogue and intrigue
Memorable
and
characters,
twists and stuff, right?
right? No, no, yeah, that's
Right.
fair. That's
I
fair.
just
Yeah,
think, yeah, I just think that's Dune. I don't know.
yeah. No, that's totally viable. That's a perfect interpolation of the events of that movie. It was vibes, and you liked it. And like, yes, I did like it.
Yeah.
I meshed with the vibes.
Yep. Yeah. It's just just such a smart way to approach it too.
Mhm.
I don't know. I wonder how much of other stuff that applies to. Like, there's all this dialogue around the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action adaptation on Netflix that came out last week.
I've heard of it. Yep.
And like, people are mad about some things and they like some other things. It's fairly mixed reaction.
Mm.
But I wonder if just vibes is what matters most to fans of an IP.
Hmm. As long
Isn't
as
what you
something
really want
feels
is
like
after it's over, it feels like the thing that you love?
um. hmm.
Like, if you finish an episode of the Halo show on Paramount and the way you felt was you just felt like you played 2 hours of Halo, would you be like, "Yeah, that was good," you know?
Maybe, but like,
Maybe.
I think with interactive things like a video game, what the vibe of that game is a little harder to nail down because each player's experience is going to be so different, right? Like,
To some level.
if I blast through Halo on easy, I'm gonna come across as like Halo is a power fantasy of me just mowing
Mm.
down endless aliens. If I play it on legendary, it's like, well, okay, it was maybe a bit more of a slog and a realistic, like a challenge. The vibe is challenge, and
That's a fair point.
you know,
That's a good point. I don't know. So I guess harder with video games to get the vibe.
harder. I mean,
Although, I mean, thinking about The Last of Us, though,
mhm.
vibe. Like, it nailed the, like, this
That's
is a
good.
post-apocalyptic wasteland, everything sucks vibe from the game.
Right, but that's because The Last of Us gameplay sucks. Like,
It does.
that is not the key part of that game.
Right. Well, yeah. Yeah. That is
Last of
true.
Us is a movie you can control. That's why it works so
Yeah.
well as a TV show.
Right. And the gameplay, I really feel like, is intentionally designed to give you a feeling of, post-apocalyptic, resources are short.
Mhm.
Here you found a bullet in 4 hours of gameplay. Use it well,
Right.
resource scarcity, which just that just ties into the whole vibe of what The Last of Us is.
Sure.
But yeah, you're right. That is more movie than video game, especially compared to something like Halo, without a doubt.
Right. I think The Last Airbender. I think it's one of those things that was like popular years ago, right? And it's still
Mm-hmm.
very popular now. I'm not saying it isn't. And it was very, very good. So it stuck around in people's memories. And every once in a while, someone's going to come along and be like, hey, we can redo this. And we can do it in our own special flavor. And you had M. Night Shyamalan come in and try to do a movie that was utterly awful, right?
Incredibly bad. Yes.
Incredibly bad. And
Mm-hmm.
now Netflix has come in and they've done like a Netflix job on it, which sometimes is really good and sometimes is really bad. And that'll hit and miss with different people. But I think the thing you need to do about The Last Airbender is just a HD remake, right? Put it in a 16 by 9 instead of 4:3, and you will have every single person just like melting in their pants for it, you know?
16 by 9 it, clean up the visuals.
Uh
Yeah,
huh.
I could
Like
see
don't
that.
like just do a 1-for-1 remake, like a update, and I don't know, it would be golden. Like you wouldn't need to do anything else because the format itself is perfect, right?
Right. Right. Yeah, I think there are maybe just certain things that you shouldn't
Adapt.
remake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, remake versus remaster is a different thing.
Mm-hmm. And like,
Adapting to a different medium is a different thing too. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
So
one of the things I've heard most often from people who've watched the live action are like, really, what it made me want to do is go watch the original. So, like, you might be
fair.
right about that.
Yeah.
uh,
Because the
yeah,
original's
just
really good, but it is a little old to like look at now.
it
Like,
is.
for someone like me, I really don't like looking at giant back black bars on the side of my screen, and
Mm-hmm. It's a
maybe
different time.
maybe you could get away with altering like how long the episodes are and just like combine things so that like it flows a little more easily. You don't have to sit through credits between stuff. Like if you're
That's
gonna
true.
do it, that's maybe the best like you could do for adapting it. But other than
Mm-hmm.
that, just do it 1-to-1 and it'll be fine. Right?
Yeah, pretty
Like
much.
you don't even need to like redo the voice lines. The voices are all still fine. Sound design is perfect. It's great. Just update the visuals so that they're HD. You know.
Right. Yeah, and that's another argument too. Some people are like, "Well, what'd you expect from this? A one-to-one adaptation of what the cartoon is?" And some people are like, "Yes, can we do that?" Because yeah, I mean, they just change weird things. Like a lot of people are complaining they show the fight between Zuko and Ozai when Zuko gets banished, and
Oh,
like in the show, he doesn't want
fight.
to fight his dad. He doesn't.
And he gets burnt. Like it's a
Yeah,
scene of mutilation, not a
yeah.
fight.
It's domestic abuse with
Right.
magic. But in the Netflix show, Zuko like fights back and kind of holds his own a little bit before losing, and everyone's like, "But the entire point of the scene, like, what are we doing? Why are we changing core story elements?" And maybe they don't understand what that scene's all about, and that's kind of a damning thing to say too. If you
Well,
don't understand what you're adapting,
it's one thing to say that they might not understand what that scene's about. It's another to say that they like to imply that they didn't, because they could have just said, "Okay, we know what that scene does, but we want it to do something else." And so,
yeah,
what does that scene do now? Is the real question.
yeah.
And if it turns out that scene does nothing, then yeah, you can probably make the assumption they just didn't understand. But like, are we confident that that scene now doesn't do anything new? Like, it doesn't set up Zuko as like a competent warrior. Is that set up anywhere else?
But it shouldn't. He's 10, and Ozai is the Fire Lord. Like, there's no reason for that to be it. And again,
Oh,
I'm only seeing this from the perspective of people who don't like it.
right.
So no one's giving it any grace. Nobody's being like, well, I do like this new messaging that they came up with, you know?
Right. Like, but that's the thing. The people who don't like it, or the people who are just going to talk about it out of context, probably aren't going to mention like that. Oh, they were really trying to set up that the Fire Lord has, like, the dynasty that is in charge of the Fire Nation has become a very martial culture. that even a 10-year-old boy has been training his entire life, which is true for Zuko. Zuko.
Zuko, you got it.
God,
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan's in my brain being like, change the names. It's
Oh my
Aang.
gosh. Why?
Yeah,
Why?
but no idea why. But like, we are shown that later, in like book 3, that like, yeah, as a kid, Zuko had to work really hard to keep up with Azula, in his firebending, and like a lot of him traveling around with Iroh was training for him. Like, he still spent most of his teenage years in exile training.
Right.
And so like, if you want to set that up so that like this thing that we get in book 3, that he's had a rough childhood beyond just mutilation and shaming from his father, that's a perfectly fine scene to do it in, I guess. But maybe don't have him do it against the Fire Lord. Like, I still don't think it's a good idea, but like, you can change that scene to be like, he fights the general that he disagrees with first and is able to hold his own there, and then the Emperor, the Fire Lord, goes, no, burn, exile, get out. You know?
Yeah. I think that could have worked if you wanted to change something. Absolutely, I think that's a good idea. Because like the whole point is that Ozai's an asshole. His son's like, I don't want to fight you, Dad, and he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna fight you then. So it's like, man, I love you. Yeah. Anyway, it's just like, man, it's not crazy offensive like the movie was, but it's also not great. So
yeah,
I don't know. Making stuff is hard, I suppose.
It's true. It's very difficult.
All right. I think that wraps it up. We good to go?
I think so. Was there anything else? Oh, I did have something before we talked about Dune. Now I can't remember. Oh no. Couldn't have been important. Oh well.
Fair enough. We'll get it next week.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So that is going to be it from us today. This has been Somicron and Falcon Paladin with another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour, streamed live at twitch.tv/Somicron every Tuesday in North America, and on Wednesday if you're in Australia or Japan or something. You can support the podcast at patreon.com/ oh, hang on. Monday, right? It's Monday now.
Yeah.
Monday in North America, Tuesday in Australia. My brain is still not up to date, even though we did that like months ago at this point.
Years.
So yeah, really? No.
Year, maybe.
Maybe. Anyway, Monday or Tuesday, support the podcast at patreon.com/Somicron and falconpaladin.store. Buy a Steve the SCV mug.
Yeah,
I went there and it said the price dropped today, and I was like, what? It went down like $1. And I was like, huh, interesting.
It told you that?
It did.
Okay, because I noticed that like some of them were $1 more than the others, and I'm like, that's not right. Drop the price $1.
Oh, well, there you go. And it notified me because I was on the page.
It notified you that today?
Yes.
I did that like a month ago.
I don't know, man. Who knows? The mysteries of the internet. Okay. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for hanging out with us, talking about nerdy stuff, and we'll be back next time with more nerdy stuff. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy and take care of yourselves. That's a memory face.
I remembered what it was. Today is Twitch's last day of operations in South Korea. So if you see your favorite streamers streaming on Twitch, playing some StarCraft or something, go say bye.
Yeah. A Reddit post I saw that said some Korean streamers are just streaming straight hentai as like protest of what's going on. So
nice.
Yep. So be careful clicking on Korean streams today.
So. Oh, that's great.
All right. Until next time. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.